What is up, guys? Chris here, Bear Market Mining. Thanks again for stopping by. So today I want to take you through my purpose-made CPU mining rig. Now what this mining rig is doing is mining a number of different algorithms on a platform called NiceHash and paying me out in Bitcoin. Now this thing mines day in, day out, makes no noise, uses really low power, and best of all, it is profitable. So today I want to take you through that little setup of mine and show you how you can set this up as well on Windows in less than 5 minutes. So without further ado, let's jump into the mining room and check out this little rig. So this is the mining rig itself. So what you're looking at here is no different to what you've got inside your computer you're watching from right now. And I will show you exactly how to set this up on your own PC at home, so do not worry. So I just wanted to take you through some of the parts here. So these were all bought secondhand. I've acquired these over the last few years of mining, but basically what we're looking at here is we've got a standard SSD. This is actually a 1 terabyte SSD, definitely bigger than you would need. 256 gig or even 128 would be fine. We've got a B650M motherboard. We've got an Assassin V2 cooler. Now a good cooler is really important because when you're CPU mining, the CPU will get hot, and these are really good at keeping it clean. We've got some G.Skill Trident Z Neo. We've actually got 64 gigabytes of RAM here. Now this again is overkill. 32 will be plenty and will max out your mining hash rate. Of course, underneath this cooler and behind the RAM, right under here, we've got the heart of our CPU mining rig. This is a 5900X. So it's a 12 core, 24 thread CPU. And what's great about this is it's going to give us a really good hash rate on different algorithms that we'll need, specifically on NiceHash when we're converting it into Bitcoin. It also is low power, and low power means less electricity costs and more profit, so very important. And up top here, we've got actually quite a nice 1000 watt EVGA G5 power supply. Again, definitely overkill, but the sum of all these parts, because we've bought these over the last few years, is actually really cheap. And if you were to build this today, you could get it even cheaper. So next up, before we take you through the Windows install on this, let's have a look at these part specifics and exactly how much it costs. Alright, so now that you've seen my little rig, I want to take you through some of the setup costs involved in this, just so you know if this is something you might want to get into. But as mentioned, I did buy a lot of those parts many years ago at this point, so I wanted to take you through a current parts list and prices so we can get a little bit more of an update on what this type of build would actually cost. So to start, the MSI B450M-A, this is a motherboard I've used for CPU mining constantly over the years. An AM4 motherboard, and it is perfect for the 5900Xs. So we're looking here on eBay US, and these are all the recently sold items. So 50 bucks, 60 bucks, you're going to be able to grab yourself one of these. These are all that you're going to need if you're using that 5900X, but if you're upgrading to something a bit more heavy duty, make sure you do research and grab yourself a motherboard that would suit. Next up, the most important part, in my opinion, well, the essential part of this build, of course, is the 5900X. So as we mentioned, it's a 12 core, 28 thread CPU. This is a Ryzen 9. These are really good CPU miners. They're super efficient, they're low power, and they give a decent amount of hash. Is going to determine your profitability or revenue, I should say. We'll talk a little bit more about that sort of stuff later, but about 175 bucks. Let's scroll down, see a few more. Where are we? Another one here is 200 bucks, 200 bucks. So expect that sort of 200 price point range. Now these are all pre-owned, of course, used, so they don't come with a warranty. So bear that in mind if you're looking to get one of these. It does show here a 3900X as well, a bit cheaper, and is actually a fairly similar CPU. It's 12 cores as well. Won't get quite as much hash rate. But food for thought, a little bit cheaper, a 3900X might serve you well and would be compatible with this motherboard also. Now looking at the RAM, so if you're into PCs, you know that RAM prices recently have absolutely gone through the roof. We see 120 bucks here. I picked 32 gigs up a few years ago for like 50 bucks secondhand, so those days are gone, unfortunately, but you can shop around and get some decent deals. We can see right here 32 gigabytes. Now it's a slow speed, but that won't matter too much. Ideally, a higher speed is going to be better. You know, if you looked at this this HyperX Predator, about 80 bucks, that'd be the perfect sort of speed and the right amount of gigabytes. You don't need to go 64. So about 80 bucks, anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks is basically going to be your very bottom. Now that cooler, that CPU cooler, this is a very underrated but pivotal part of this build. If you're planning on using the stock cooler on a 5900X without undervolting, it won't be sufficient. The Thermalright Assassin Spirit, I use these on all of my my CPU mining rigs, and they're perfect. They're really cheap, 30 bucks. This is open box. You might be able to get them cheaper. Offer this guy 20 bucks. I mean, that's not the exact same one, but this would do the job as well. So 20, 30 bucks, you'll be able to grab these. I think they're actually cheaper on Amazon, but a high speed, high RPM, high CFM cooler is going to be essential. The Assassin V2 is perfect for this. Now, as far as RAM, as mentioned, we use that 1 terabyte. I did pull that off one of my AI rigs. So 1 terabyte is completely not necessary if you're building a rig like this. 256 gigs is plenty. You can even get away with 128. If you're buying these secondhand, don't pay more than $10 or $15. You don't need an M.2 either. You can use a standard external SSD. Speeds and things like that with modern SSDs won't play a part. So the cheaper, the better, in my opinion. Now, last but certainly not least, you will not be able to build this without one of these, and that is, of course, the power supply. Again, a 1000 watt power supply is completely not necessary. All secondhand parts, like I said, that we've previously had. About 36 bucks for a 500 watt power supply, and that's an EVGA as well. Secondhand, of course, so no warranty. But if you look around, you can get some good deals. You could even go a 400 watt, even less. This whole rig pulls about 100 watts. So this right here for 40 bucks, the Thermaltake 500 watt would absolutely do the job. So all up, you'd be looking at about 400 bucks. That's USD if you were to build this CPU mining rig on itself. But of course, you don't need to build a dedicated rig like this. Yes, there are advantages, lower power, etc. But right now I want to take you through exactly how you can set this up just 5 minutes on your Windows PC right now. This setup on Windows is super easy. I'm going to leave links down below for you can click all of this stuff. Don't worry, they're not referral links. These are just links that will take you straight to nicehash.com, to the login pages, etc. So you can get this all done. Now, we will walk through some of these simpler steps pretty quickly. For example, logging in. You're going to need to create an account. So I'm not going to tell you how to do that. You're going to click sign up. Follow that through, create an account like you would on anything. Your next point of access is the downloads. Again, links down below. You're going to download this NiceHash miner right here. Right, so this is super simple. That's going to download and it's going to take you into the installation process once it's done. But before we jump into NiceHash, one quick key note. Once you've created an account, you will land on a login page that looks just like this. Well, this is the dashboard page that will tell you how many rigs you have live and all of that sort of stuff. Throughout the install process, when you're installing the miner, it's going to ask you for your mining address, which you can find on the mining page right here. Now, I will blur my mining address out, but when it asks for the mining address, this is exactly where you go. You copy paste this and put it in. This just ensures that when you're mining to your own account, and then you can go into wallets and other sections to set up your own payout addresses. So really simple. All right, so that was easy enough. You've got NiceHash installed. When you first open it up, this is what you're going to be met with. This is the little NiceHash miner for Windows. Really user friendly. I want to take you through a few little things just from the get-go before we look at my actual rig and my earnings. So when you first start, click Start Mining. It's going to run a bunch of benchmarks. Now, as mentioned previously, how this works is, what NiceHash does is it has a number of different supported algorithms on it. And what this will do is mine the most profitable algorithm and pay you out in Bitcoin. So you're not directly mining Bitcoin. That can't be done with CPUs anymore. So that's how exactly it works. Now, as you can see here, we've got a CPU and a GPU and a number of different algorithms. The GPUs have tons. As you can see with a fresh install on this PC, none of these have been benchmarked yet. That's exactly what it will do very first thing. You can also check out your devices. You can turn your GPU off, for instance, or your CPU off, depending on what is most profitable. And then when it's up and mining, it will tell you exactly what your profitability is. You can go into your settings here. You can change your worker name. You can put in your electricity costs, all that sort of stuff. Now that will take into consideration your electricity cost when it's giving you a readout of how much profit you're making, so you can find out if this is actually worth your while. Attention crypto miners, are you ready to level up your mining game? Then look no further than CryptoMinerBros.com, your go-to source for top-of-the-line mining equipment. Crypto Miner Bros stock the latest ASIC miners and partner with the most trusted brands like Bitmain, Goldshell, Jazzminer, and Ice River, just to name a few. Plus, with manufacturers' warranties of 6 to 12 months, worldwide shipping, and 24/7 customer support, you're fully covered no matter where you are. And don't forget, you can use code BEARMINER at checkout or click the link in description to save $70 on all products store-wide. Visit CryptoMinerBros.com today and start mining smarter. So right now, for those of you who don't know, we're looking at a program called HiveOS. Now this is my rig that's up and running. It's running on a program called HiveOS, which is a Linux-based operating system. Now, why do people do this? Well, for one, there's far less background processes. So there is a chance on Windows that, things will pop up, installations will happen, and the CPU or GPU could crash. A dedicated rig like this, there is no concern with that, unless you've made some issues when you've come to undervolting, which leads me to remember that I will leave some links if you wanted to set this up as well on HiveOS. I can show you exactly how to do it, how to undervolt, all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to show you exactly what this layout looks like on HiveOS. If you're not into the Windows stuff and you're a CPU miner, you'll already know this. But let me comment down below if you want any more information on this, or just join the Discord and we'll take you through it in there. The link is in the description. But as we can see right here, it's mining RandomX. So as we said, not Bitcoin. RandomX is the most profitable algorithm on NiceHash right now for CPU mining, and we're averaging about 11 kilohash. We can see it's just dropped down here for a second randomly. Not sure why that is, but around 11 kilohash on RandomX, which is really, really nice, especially when we take into account how low power it's using, which we'll talk about later. But next up, let's jump on over to NiceHash and see exactly how much we've actually made on this rig. One of the things that is great about NiceHash is this history tab. So up on the top dash bar, you'll see your history and stats. You can come down here and see exactly how much you've been making, or yielding, we should say, because of course electricity has to be taken out. So the RandomX Monero, the algorithm that we said we were using. Now, over this week period, we've been averaging about 40 cents a day. So this is not a lot of money, right? Obviously, it's a budget rig. NiceHash does take fees, but the way I like to look at this is dollar cost averaging. So this is earning more than it's burning, as in it's using about 30 cents worth of electricity and making about 10 cents, right? So nothing to write home about on this budget rig. You can expect budget returns. I'll leave a link down below for my mini PC, which has about twice the kilohash rate for the same power and is doubling up on that. So, we like to look at this as a dollar cost averaging machine. This hardware was doing nothing previously. It's now doing something. It's basically buying me Bitcoin every single day at a slightly lower price when you take into the account the revenue versus the expenses. Now, next up, if you want to get into something like this, I'll show you exactly how you can check your profitability on another program called hashrate.no. So as mentioned earlier, I'll leave all the links for this stuff down below so you can check it out. This is a calculator here, and you can enter in your killer hash rate and your wattage. If you want to check your wattage, I'll recommend there's a smart plug. It's called the Tapo P110, and that monitors your live watt usage. But as mentioned, that mini PC, we know we're not making much with the budget rig, but for example, if you were to use something that's got slightly higher hash rate, the mini PC makes about 18 kilohash and uses about 95 watts. You know, you're averaging about 30 cents there, so you can really see the sort of revenue to profit ratio change. Now, as we said, this is small numbers, but if you could imagine you built a rig like this, you know, you only used your PC, say half the day, flick on NiceHash, be making, you know, 15 cents a day worth of Bitcoin. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if we go into the calculator, you know, this stuff adds up. If you said that over a year, you times it by 365, you know, you'd have another 50 bucks worth of Bitcoin for doing absolutely nothing. You know, the price doubles, you got 100 bucks, and so on and so forth. So that is going to wrap it up, guys. Hopefully you learned something from that. Look, nothing exciting to write home about, a few cents here or there. There'll be people in the comments that say this is a waste of time, as usual. Dollar cost averaging, you're getting something for nothing. Let me know what you guys think. Is this just a waste of time? Would you even bother burning out the hardware? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.